Hello, welcome to online learning platform. This is session 2 of chapter Human Eye and Colorful World of Physics of class 10th. In our earlier session, we have learned about different parts of human eye. This is a transparent bulge which is called the cornea. Behind cornea there is a muscular diaphragm called iris. Between iris there is a small opening called pupil. Behind pupil there is a crystalline lens and a fluid is filled between cornea and eye lens called aqueous humor. Behind eye lens there is a delicate light sensitive membrane called retina. This is optic nerves. Between eye lens and retina a fluid is filled which is called vitreous humor, and eye lens is held with the help of ciliary muscles. In this session we will learn about power of accommodation of eye, role of pupil, and why do we have two eyes for vision and not just one. First of all, we will discuss why do we have two eyes for vision and not just one. There are several advantages of our having two eyes instead of one, which are as follows. The first advantage is it gives us a wider field of view. A human being has a horizontal field of view of about 155 degree with one eye and of about 190 degree with two eyes. This red line is the field of view of our right eye. It starts from 60 degree towards our left hand side and goes up to 95 degree in our right hand side, and thus the angular difference becomes 155 degree. And this blue line is the field of view of our left eye. Again the angular difference is 155 degree. When we combine these two field of view, the angular difference becomes 190 degree. And when the objects are placed at these 2 points, the image is formed on blind spot and cannot be seen. Other advantages are the ability to detect faint object is of course enhanced with two detectors instead of one. Third, two eyes also give 3D view of the world. Fourth, because our eyes are separated by a few centimeters, each eye sees a slightly different image. Our brain combines the two images into one, using the extra information to tell us how close or far away things are. Now discuss the topic of dominant eye. Just like we use one side of our body more than the other and have a dominant hand that we use for writing, most of us also have a dominant eye. A dominant eye isn't always about one having better vision, but rather one leading better than the other because of preference. Our dominant eye is the one that provides slightly more input to the visual cortex of our brain and relays information more accurately, such as the location of the object. Now, how to tell which eye is dominant? Do this simple activity. Choose a target in the distance, such as a picture hanging on a wall or a vase on a table. Point at the target using both of your hands. Your hands should be intertwined with your two index fingers together, pointing at the target. Take turns closing each eye while fixating on the target. In first position, the image position is between your hands, but when you close your right eye, it shifts towards left. But when you close your left eye, the position of the object doesn't change. This means your right eye is dominant because when right eye is open, it shifts the object slightly towards its left. And if on closing the left eye, object towards right, this means your left eye is dominant. Now we will discuss the role of pupil. I have told you that behind cornea there is a dark muscular diaphragm called iris, and between iris there is a small opening called pupil. Pupil regulates and controls the amount of light entering in the eye with the help of muscles of iris. Regulating the amount of light entering in our eye is very important, as if excess of light enters in our eyes, it can damage the light sensitive cells of retina, and if very little light enters in our eye, we will not be able to see clearly. In the image which is in our left hand side, the pupil is in dilated condition when it is in dim light to allow maximum light to enter in our eyes, and when we are in bright light, the pupil contracts to allow only sufficient light to enter in our eyes. You might have experienced that you are not able to see objects clearly for some time when you enter from bright light to a room with dim light. After some time, however, you may be able to see things in the dim lit room. Why it is so? The pupil of the eye acts like a variable aperture whose size can be varied with the help of the iris. When the light is very bright, the iris contracts the pupil to allow less light to enter the eye. When we enter dim lit room, we are not able to see clearly as very little light enters in our eye because of a small size of pupil. However, in dim light, the iris expands the pupil to allow more light to enter the eye, but it takes some time. Thus, the pupil opens completely through the relaxation of iris and we are able to see clearly. Now in this picture, iris is in dilated condition when we are in dim lit room light and allow maximum light to enter in our eyes, and in this picture, the iris is constricted when we are in bright light to allow only sufficient light to enter in our eyes. Similarly, when we go out in bright light from a properly lit place, our eyes closes itself as a result of reflex action. It is so because in properly lit place, our pupil is in dilated state, and as we go out in bright light, because of large size of pupil, large amount of light may enter in eye, which can damage light sensitive cells of retina. So to prevent eyes from any damage, our eyes closes itself. Now in this picture, when we are in bright light, the size of the pupil become too small so that excess light do not enter in our eyes, and the diameter of the pupil is about 2 to 3 mm. But when we are in dim lit rooms, the size of pupil expands and its diameter is about 7 to 8 mm. We should note that the muscles of iris are contracted when we are in bright light and is in relaxed state when we are in dim lit or properly lit place. So we should avoid bright light for good health of eye. Now the next topic is power of accommodation of eye. The curvature of eye lens can be modified to some extent by the ciliary muscle, which is called power of accommodation. When we see the distant object, the ciliary muscles contract, the lens become thick and its focal length decreases. But when we see distant object, the ciliary muscles relax, the lens become thin and its focal length increases. When we see the distant object, the ciliary muscles are relaxed, the curvature of the lens decreases, the lens become thin, thus its focal length increases. This enables us to see distant objects clearly. But when we see the nearby objects, the ciliary muscles contracted, the curvature of the lens increases, the lens becomes thick, thus its focal length decreases. This enables us to see nearby objects. The opposite of relax is contracted, the opposite of decreases is increases, the opposite of thin is thick, and opposite of increases decreases, and opposite of distant is nearby. The ability of the eye lens to adjust its focal length so that we can see the objects placed at different distance with same acuity or clarity is called power of accommodation of eye. Near point of eye. The minimum distance at which objects can be seen more distinctly without stain. The word without stain is very important, and without this word, the definition will be wrong. Is called the least distance of distinct vision. It is also called the near point of the eye. For a young adult with normal vision, the near point is about 25 cm. Far point of the eye. The farthest point up to which the eye can see objects clearly is called the far point of the eye. It is infinite for a normal eye. We have the least strain on the ciliary muscles of normal eye when we are focusing at an object placed at infinite. That is why we should avoid reading books, placing them very close to our eyes. We should avoid doing work in mobile and in computer, placing them too close of our eyes, and also we should avoid watching TV by sitting very close to it for good health of our eyes. Now, what is normal eye? Normal eye is that whose vision lies in the range of 25 cm to infinite, which is shown in the picture given below. That's all for this session. I hope you liked the presentation. Thank you very much.